Welcome to Defying Gravity, Olympia Yarger. Now, I've known you for many years and love that experience, but there may be some people who don't know you and your story with Goterra. Can you give us a bit of an overview of what you've been up to?
Sure. So I originally came from agriculture. I was madly into sheep and cattle. And that's where I imagined myself in the world. I did a bit of agricultural work in Australia before, just after I got out of high school, and then moved to the US, did a bit of lots of different things over there, and did a lot of marketing and comms. And when I came back to Australia, I wanted to go back to agriculture. And so I couldn't really figure out how to afford the farm. Like, that's quite a difficult thing. And so I was looking for ways to have a small farm, and solving the how do I feed my livestock without the volatility of commodity grain prices ruining my business model was how I found insects as a sustainable feed source that you can create using wastes. So inputs that don't have a home. And that sort of added up in my ag brain. And I started my startup Goterra, which is a waste infrastructure company that processes and manages food waste with proprietary industrial waste processing technology that is powered by maggots.
Awesome. It's a glamorous business, is it not?
It's the most glamorous to businesses, absolutely.
It's such a cool idea, though. Actually reducing, so it's literally reducing the food waste on premises with your maggots doing all the work, and then just the waste.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So it's true valorization. So rather than like composting, which kind of actually devalues the value of the product. So you've got really nutrient rich, and then you sort of compost it to make it more usable. We're taking something that has low sort of value, and then we're increasing that value by getting the insects to eat it. But we've created this robotic technology that allows us to automate or commercialize this sort of Mother Nature's sort of way of managing our gross things. And so we've sort of industrialized that process now so that we can deploy it as a fee for service. So we can process people's food waste using the technology, charge them a per ton rate, and then we get this beautiful, really valuable high protein on the backside. So lots of fun.
Amazing. Amazing. So we're talking about defying gravity in this series, and every business has its challenges. Can you talk about sort of the toughest one you've had, and then of course I'm going to ask how you've overcome.
I think if you take the 30,000 foot view from sort of here back, maybe, I think the greatest challenge is that I hadn't had any exposure whatsoever to startup land or venture capital. I think, and that has been a blessing and a challenge. I think, when you don't know what you don't know, you are far more open to opportunities and ideas because you have no clue, no barrier to whether or not these things could or couldn't be true. But it also means that you are painfully learning as you go, which, just having a bit of that read access memory, if you did know things or you had a little bit more clarity, I think would have really helped, particularly because this is first of a kind technology in a tough sort of segment. So, it's climate tech, it's utilities. It doesn't matter really which way you cut it, whether it's ag or utilities or infrastructure or climate tech. They're all really challenging segments for venture capital to think about because they are more complex in how the business model builds. There's sort of more layering of belief for you to have to cross as a venture capitalist. And so, that combination, I think, of me being sort of very naive and like sodden behind the ears,
Yeah.
and choosing an industry and technology that, yeah.
Yeah.
If you think about it, Helen, in 2018, I walked around very wonderful offices and told people that people like Lendlease would want a box full of maggots in their basement. It's reasonable that that was a tough.
Yeah. And you sort of defy categories, don't you? Like your capital investment, and yet tech and robotics.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
um,
And in industries that people don't know.
yeah,
Yeah. It's an industry that people don't know. Waste is old and not techy, and who
yes,
cares? It goes away. Is it a big thing? Like, there's not a lot of clarity around it as a problem,
yeah,
and there's perceptions around it as when you think about solutions. And so, yeah, I chose the hardest of all of the things, which
yeah,
is great in the end.
yeah. But we definitely see that solving hard problems creates a whole lot of value. So,
I
it's
agree. Yeah,
pretty to the good benefit, right?
yeah. Well, and I think what when you're really in a greenfield space and you're not making a widget to improve a thing, or it's not just a new thing for an existing thing, like, what a privileged experience, right? Because you are reimagining the future, and it gets to be the world as you see it, and there's just something really beautiful in being first to step out into that,
Yeah.
on that path, and that it just feels incredibly cool, to be fair.
Yeah. Let alone to reduce all that transport and yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
the quality of it, yeah. Beautiful purpose. So how did you become? You were new to raising capital, you were new to the certain number of elements of this amazing business you've created. How did you overcome that?
I think there's been a few things. I was fortunate enough that I was a little bit older when I started, and so I was myself. One of the hardest things about building a business is that it takes a while for the business to be a thing. You've imagined it, and we put branding on things or whatever, but they're kind of clunky. They don't really jive. It takes you a few years to understand what your business is as an entity. And then that can cause pressure, I think, on a lot of founders, because it's like you've both got to birth this new thing, and then you've got to have the resilience and the confidence to be who you are, to lead it, right? And that can be really tough. So I was lucky that I was older, and so a bit more maybe set in my ways, or maybe just sort of had the ability to sort of say, I can only be who I am. And so it was quite clear early on that I wasn't a conventional founder, and I think I decided that I couldn't change that, and I was going to actually just make it what I was. That's hurt sometimes. People have called me naive because I sort of made this decision early that I was just gonna ask questions, and I was just gonna why, or why, or admit that I didn't know, and that's a dangerous thing to do in venture land. And I've been coached about it before, where certain funds have sort of said, you said that you didn't know something, and that really made us lose confidence that you would be able to succeed. And but more people were like, that
Mm,
openness to admit that you meant that you're a founder that will learn, that you're a founder that's
yeah,
wanting to be better. And so I think it took a lot more emotional energy to do that, and I hadn't actually accrued or accounted for that toll until sort of more recently. But because when you've got a veneer, it's much easier to just sort of wander around pretending you're okay, because you haven't really let anyone actually see you. But when you quite vulnerable, but it means that our customers are really our ambassadors. We've got such a strong customer base. Our investors are repeat investors. They've stayed with us through some really challenging markets, and they've believed resoundingly and strong from the outset. And I think a lot of that's got to do with that decision to just own what who I am was it as founder, and then let that be part of the business, which is like, we can't change, we can't be SaaS for you, we can't be not CapEx heavy for you, we can't not be waste, and we can't not be maggots. I mean, so we're going to be those things, and in doing that, you will learn to love us, because that is an incredible idea, and a wonderful business opportunity, and a great innovation. And I think that's been one of the greatest
yeah,
um, sort of things that, or decisions that I've made.
yeah.
Uh,
And
yeah.
I think I'll release this when you're doing crowdfunding, so people have a unique opportunity, right, to be a part of this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Awesome. And for the investors, it's Series, what are you up to? Series B?
Well, yeah, well, and maybe we can mention that. I think that that's something that I think really speaks to it, right? Because in the Australian landscape, if you say crowdsource funding, everyone gets a little like, oof, what does it mean? And I confess, I bought into that as well. I think there was a little bit of a visceral feeling that was like, oh, what signal does it send? Will people think that it's bad or whatever? But at the same time, like, we know who we are. We know that these kinds of businesses are tough to fund. We know that there are two valleys of deaths for first of a kind businesses. We know that the markets are tough. We know all of these things, and there's so much content out at the moment that speaks to the need for businesses to be creative in their capital stacks and look at different ways that we may not have looked at before. And so for me, it's like, how much more Goterra a way of continuing what we're doing and ensuring that we're capitalized to do the job that we're doing than to bring a bunch of people on that more people on that journey with us. And the longer we looked at the opportunity, it's a really great way to mature your governance. It's a really great way to mature the way you manage your stakeholders. It's an incredibly wonderful opportunity to bring all those people that like have been on the sidelines that are like, boy, yeah, who really care about you and have cared about you for a long time, to participate in what you've built. And that's actually, like, it's buoyed the team, and we've been really enjoying all of that momentum. And so, yeah, like, again, in being resolutely ourselves and deciding that we can own the path that we're choosing and sort of managing the expectations or the perceptions rather than being guided by them, I think
Yeah.
continues to be a way of work for the business, which is kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm sure it's going to be a stellar success. South Australia already got, yeah, raises funds for her sustainable business. I think it will work.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we've got lots and lots of really, really strong momentum. So it's really exciting, to be fair.
Yeah, beautiful. Look, just to finish, what is your top advice from all these incredible years of building this business? And it's really hitting
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Um, what's your top advice for a CEO or founder?
I I think that I think culture is a conversation that gets brought up a lot, and it's largely an amorphous thing that we believe we should have, and it usually centers around mandatory fun days and food in a kitchen somewhere. Which GoTerra's never, yeah, which GoTerra's never had money to do, right? Like we've never had the money for jam, and so we've stuck to how do we build a great business, and so the culture part has become part of the story of what I think makes or breaks you. You can't do difficult things if you haven't understood what you're asking of the people who are coming to work every day. Because if I th- you we think about all that's happened between 2014 when I first drew this idea on a napkin to today, every stage of the business's growth, every person that's fronted to this place to work has given a part of their identity to the foundation of this business. Now, you can honor that and try and keep it, or you can honor it and let it go. You can build it, you can coach it, you can do whatever. But the reality is, the thing that I think I've learned the most is the idea of individual management of people is not the healthiest and safest way to manage your humans and your culture in a startup. You must manage the company, and I mean that the people in the company. When you start to individualize the humans, you forget about so you're one person or a group of people, you start to forget about the 58 others who are coming to work. And that has been a really big learning curve for me because I care about my people, and when things go right, it's really fills me. And when we have a staff member leave because it's no longer a good fit, you feel like you've failed. I think that founders should start rethinking about how we think about humans and think about the journey of the role and how long we need them for, and make that the most important and impactful time for both that person and you, and be constantly aware of when that transition should happen so that that can be a meaningful exchange, and just take some of that emotional pressure away. Because I think startups are like the mission, the values, and we like throw ourselves at it, and then we burn out real quick, or we flame out, and then or new people come, and then all the work that I was doing on my own, now I've got a boss, and how do they know what I do? Like all those really weird things that happen in startups. You can actually start to manage those really well if you change the idea around how we work with folks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just
Beautiful.
these aren't normal places. Be more creative with how you think about bringing people on your journey and letting them go when it's time, and
Yeah. For
and
everything there's
be more
a
present for them. Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah, like the Beatles should always be brought up, and so that's is it the Beatles? To everything turn to, yeah, that's the Beatles. Yeah, so I think that be different with people.
Yeah, and think of it as a system and a culture overall, and really interesting.
Yeah,
It's a great point. Thank you so much for your time, Olympia.
my pleasure.
Great as always to talk to you.
So much fun as always.